Hello, today I'm gonna attempt this crossword, cryptic number 377 by Samurai in the Hindustan Times today. The first clue 8 across says cross over to get to exit. So this could be a reversal. No idea. Test eliminates ultimately lazy swimmer. So there's a word for test and it eliminates ultimately lazy, which could be Y, and you get a word for swimmer. Look both ways. This could be peep because it's a palindromic clue. Each ally initially discussed truth. Truce. Each ally initially discussed truce. This looks like a homophone. And appease could be the answer, where ally initially is A and discussed truce says it's a word that sounds like truce, which is peace, and appease is each. Encounter where while climbing. Encounter where while climbing. Since it's a down clue, while climbing is an indicator that there is a reversal going on. So since that's the indicators on that side, encounter is the definition. This could be meet, assuming team could be bear, which I'm not very sure about. Maybe we will leave that and come to it later. 12 across persuades Charlie to take Victor out for shows. So Charlie takes Victor out is an indicator of substitution, and we need a word for persuades, from which we need to take V out and put C in, and you get shows. Persuades can be convinces. Let's come back to it. A person mainly involved in musical productions. Person mainly makes me want to think of operas, and I think that's correct because a person mainly is PERSO, the last letter out, and involved is indicating that it's being jumbled, and musical productions are operas. A jinn knocked back by yourself. I think it is alone, by yourself, although I can't say I have annotated it. Enola? Not sure. With a little enthusiasm, learnt new synonym for incessant. With a little enthusiasm, that could be E, and learnt new synonym for incessant. Learnt new could be an anagram of new, and Eternal is the solution, I think, because a little enthusiasm is E, and learnt new is an anagram of learnt, and synonym for incessant is eternal. So this wasn't alone. Ajin, I think apart, because Ajin is a trap, and that's knocked back, so trap goes back, and apart is by yourself. Citizen of Iran, perhaps touring another country. Okay. So, citizen of, it's indicating that makes me want to put Russian there. RUSSR, that's only 7 letters, but that has Iran perhaps is telling you that there is an anagram going on, and this is going around another country to give you the name for a citizen. We'll get there sometime. Oldest and outdated housing project. So oldest and outdated housing project is makes me want to think that this is project rather than project, and project is to jut out or something like that. So this could be out, and so oldest and outdated are housing project, something like eject out or something like that. Let's see. Right, let's go down. State secret. This seems like a double definition, although there's a question going there. Question mark is basically indicating that something funny is involved. Don't have that yet. Henry called and right away cut the call. Henry called and right away cut the call. I think it is hung up. Rung up could be called. Right away is removing R. Henry is H, and cut the call is hung up. One is gloomy with no trace of laughter. One is gloomy with no trace of laughter. No trace of laughter, saying there is no L, because trace of laughter could be the first letter of laughter, which is L, and we need a word for gloomy from which an L is being removed. Okay, and one could be referring to one down as well. Okay, 20 down is that one. Okay, 25 down. One visits that exotic isle or island. One visits that exotic isle or island. So one is inside, an anagram of isle or. Rhythmic sound made by bug, one to warn all around. Rhythmic sound made by bug, one to warn all around. Okay, could be a rub-a-dub. I set for the audience innocence. So again, this is a homophone, because for the audience is indicative of homophone. It could mean for the audience in a sense, and definition could be I, or could be request contestant to change sides. Okay, a contestant is a player. When you change sides, you change R to L, and so that's prayer, which is a request. Funny jokes about Portugal's capital. So this could be a word for capital, and something for funny jokes goes around P to get another capital. Capital could either be a location or it could be a currency. So need to think of a capital, and funny joke could be gag, pun, etc. Okay, painting, one in Milan, so exquisite. This has to be Mona Lisa, an anagram of one being a, and Milan so exquisite is anagram of that. Right. 27 down. 27 down says C, 14 down. 14 down with 27 down and 31A. How to get the reason to cause grief. So this, looking at the enumeration, we can say that it's a long enumeration with a short fodder, which is an indication of a reverse anagram. So the reason is being reverse anagrammed, and how to get is indicating that you have a anagram that is going to work on the reason to cause grief, being the definition. So break one's heart is the answer for that. One's heart is an anagram of the reason, and when you break one's heart, you get to cause grief. Posters becoming a viral sensation has to be meme, because the poster is me and posters is me, and a viral sensation is a meme. Funny jokes about Skopje. I think it's Skopje is the capital, and that's an anagram of jokes itself. It wasn't a indication of a synonym for jokes, funny jokes, but it's funny being the anagram indicator on jokes to go around Portugal's capital, which is P is Portugal and capital is Skopje. I set for the audience in a sense. I set for the audience. So there is homophone, and eyesight is a sense, and eyesight is what for the audience it sounds like I said. Snake with odd name turned red. Now odd name could be N and M because they are the odd letters of name. And snake is usually adder, but I think it is meander here, because odd name, odd also indicates an anagram. So odd name is indicating that you jumble name, and then turned red is a reversal of red, and snake is to meander. Showing respect and love, Annie perhaps inspires one. Showing respect and love, Annie perhaps inspires one. Annie perhaps could indicate that it is some definition by example of somebody who's Annie. For example, Annie Besant. And inspires one is actually telling you that it's including inspiring as in breathing in, so if you put in I inside Besant, and then love is as well there. Love is usually O, which is actually 0 in tennis. So obeisant is showing respect. Bones of bird preserved in South America. So again, this has to be a plural of a word for bones, and you have bird preserved in South America. South America is SA, so you have something that's a bird that goes in here to give you a word for bones in plural. Can't think of a 4-letter word quickly enough because it's not plural, so it's a 4-letter word. Tern, yeah, sterna. Tern is a bird, and sterna makes sense. Test eliminates, ultimately, we are back to test eliminates, ultimately lazy swimmer. Okay, haven't gotten there yet. Let's see something else that we have letters for. Okay, this can even be pit-a-pat for also. Rhythmic sound made by a bug, one-to-one all around. One visits that exotic. Well, yeah, this is Tahiti, isn't it? That exotic is anagram of THAT, being visited by one. So I enters that, and I'm not sure where the extra I comes from, but because you have that and you have one coming from there. Okay, and this isle is I guess, the other I, and you have Tahiti, which is an island. State secret. Okay, I think this could be Entente or something like that. Citizen of Iran, perhaps touring another country. Iran perhaps touring another country is quite certainly, must be Romanian, isn't it? A Romanian is a citizen of Romania, and Oman is another country that's being toured by Iran perhaps, which is an anagram of Iran, and then we get that. Primarily corrosive, it's dangerous, that's just an acrostic, and it's an andlet. It's the first letters of corrosive, it's, and dangerous. One is gloomy with no trace of laughter or laughter. One has to be unit. Gloomy is unlit, and from that you remove the trace of laughter, which is L, you get 1. State secret. I think it's intimate. Intimate is secret, and intimate is also to state or announce something or inform. So it's a double definition clue. I really don't know this one. I think it's pitter pat, but I have to see whether that makes sense. Rhythmic sound made by bug. 1. To warn all around. We'll see if that is wrong later on. I avoided conflict for a bit. I avoided conflict for a bit. Okay. So this could be a word for conflict, from which I is avoided, which means it's removed, and to give a bit, so synonym for a bit. Hundreds terribly sore about this game. So terribly sore about is telling you that SORE anagram is going around hundreds, which is C is 100 in Roman numerals. Hundreds is telling you there are 2 C's, and terribly sore goes around it, and this game is soccer. I avoid it. Oh, again. Come to it. Crossover, we don't know. Alone and very depressed by the sound of it. That is solo. So low it sounds. So that's the third homophone I spot here. So samurai must be someone who loves homophone clues. Quite the opposite of me, because I generally steer clear of homophone clues. I'm never sure how they sound to the others. Crossover to get to exit. I think it is door, although I'm not sure why. Door can fit, but I really want it to be something that when you reverse, it should mean cross, and when you go this way, it is door. It's a word that means cross when you reverse it. I avoided conflict for a bit. Conflict. Okay. Spooner's mum purchased bar. So this is spoonerism clue. So word for mum as in maybe silent or quiet, or ma. Purchased could be bought and something like that, which then spoonerize gives you bar. So a bar could be like an embargo kind of bar, something that says don't do. And mum purchased. One more crossing letter would help that case. Oldest and outdated housing project. I think this is hidden. If you see here, you have stand out. So oldest and outdated is housing, so it is hidden in plain sight, and project as in stand out. We did see the trick there in the project versus project, but it took me a little bit to figure out that it was hidden right in front of my eyes. Test eliminates ultimately lazy swimmer. So this has to be trout. Try out is test. Ultimately lazy is Y, that is eliminated from there, and a swimmer is a trout. So that's that. Persuades Charlie to take Victor out for shows. So persuades Persuades as in convinces is a reasonable word for persuades. We need something that where a V gets replaced by C. Concedes. Concedes. It's not shows. I'm quite sure this has to be some something though. Spooner's mom or mum. It says mum. Purchased bar. Bar. Encounter bear while climbing. This we thought it could be meat. I think that basically is concerts from converts. Converts with C replacing V can be concerts, which could be shows. Spooner's mum purchased bar. Spooner's mom purchased. Well, boycott. Mum is coy here, and bought becomes boycott. I avoided conflict for a bit. Conflict for a bit. Be like friction. Friction has I, which is avoided, which means removed, for a to give fractions. This looks like door. Oh, we have got something wrong. Let's see if we can figure out which one that is. Basin, Topraz, Meander, Eternal, Skopje. Is a hung up name. Okay, I have a feeling it is this because I'm not surely convinced that is bear is a team. Need to see what could be a word for encounter, and bear while climbing. Can look up a synonym for bear, which could help with the okay. Steam, synonym for bear. Okay, so that's not wrong. So it has to be something else. Maybe there's a typo in here. Let's check. What do we have? Okay. All right, let's hang up. Okay, so thank you, Samurai, and thanks to Hindustan Times for the crossword.